Now on the main stage at Green Tech, I'm joined by Meiny Prins from Priva. Hello there.
Hello, Andrew.
Lovely to have you here in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Transformation is our topic, and we're talking about especially the people factor and how important that is. We will talk a little bit about Priva and what Priva has to offer in this context, but tell me, why do we need to make progress when it comes to horticulture?
That's a nice question, to start with. So where do we start? We start with the world, with the environment?
We certainly can. I mean, we heard from David Attenborough very recently about the importance of a plant-based diet for society. We talked about, of course, lots of interesting projects which are circular in their needs. And you have a big program as well, and a big initiative called the Sustainable Urban Delta,
yeah,
I
that
believe.
Already touches about everything also that happens. So when you look at today, as is, then we have the virus, of course. And what it shows very much is that your immune system is so important. And the places where it hit most, like in the United States, is, for example, in those mega cities where you have the food deserts, as they call them. So people have no access to any healthy and fresh produce.
Fast food chains,
and
so hardly any supermarkets.
Too many fats, too many sugars, so people have diseases like diabetes or
heart troubles.
Yes, high blood pressures, even when they're young. So that is awful. I mean, that is what it is now we are facing, the fact that we cost ourselves by our welfare, as they call it. Then the second part that is so important for any horticulture developments is, of course, the rising of the middle class. And I mean, that is really interesting and nice to see too. But the fact is there that in many cities, like in Africa, where you have like 1 million people living or 2 million people living, already 10% of all those people are able to buy better food, high quality food, but it's not available in the supermarkets. Same in so many other places in the world. So the people need it, they want it, they can afford it, but it's not there. And then the last one, of course, is the climate change. And that is the bad one. So the United Nations already mentioned in a report lately that if we continue to produce and distribute the food as we do it today, then there will be a major disaster happening because there will be a shortage on food.
Because we're moving the farms and the agricultural production further away from the people, actually.
Yes.
Transporting it further, maybe with more industrialized practices.
All the pressure, and I think many companies and many growers also recognize it, but especially also the tech companies, we all recognize it. So a lot of the pressure on all developments, also economically, for growing your horticulture business was cost price based. So we had to become bigger by the neighbor's farm and the neighbor's farm and the neighbor's farm, and that is the same with the staple food, so like wheat and canola and stuff like that. So it has been centralized and it's large scale and in places where there's no water anymore. So the combination between the climate changes, like California is an example for that too, combined with the way we do food production, combined with it's distributed. I mean, we have to bring it. It is really an awful storm. And to make that change, you need time. So it takes a long time.
But also technology. I mean, maybe it's a problem because we don't have the technologies.
We do have.
We've got the technologies.
So we got the technologies.
Okay.
So I believe, I'm a believer. I believe that technology will help to make those changes needed. In fact, I believe that if we would apply all technology available today, then we would already have managed to make this big move in climate change.
Yeah, a big transformation.
Yes.
So if it's not the technology which is missing, what is missing?
Well, if the technology is not the problem, then the people are the problem. And for people, some of them will love to adapt, and they try, and we innovate, and we learn, and we fail, and anything that is needed to make a transformation. But there are also the ones, of course, in this world that are keeping on to the old economy and want to keep it as it is. They will still share with you and say to you, oh no, we need the oil industry. There are still people, they believe that, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing, but they still believe it.
Yeah.
So it's disappearing.
So how can the people in the urban deserts, if you like, the food deserts in southern Los Angeles, I saw a very inspiring story about a gentleman who had rallied his whole community to use the urban spaces which are available just on the sidewalks, the green areas there, but also abandoned lots that belong to the municipality. And they created a community farming movement, an entire movement, which is not only good for health, but also for the entire societal structure there. So it gives people as well a communal base and places to go, even during the times we have now with certain physical distancing.
So say that technology is available and it's there. Say that the people are willing. Most people are good, huh? So they want to. Then still you need a kind of an infrastructure that makes it suitable, that we can move on. And a major part of that is that we also need to change the economics, and that is the difficult one. Huh? So you also need to change your business models. So you see that already for every company that is moving from selling products to selling services, suddenly keeps his own products on his own balance sheet. And most banks do not really like that when you have an enlarged balance sheet. So, but a service means that I stay owner of my own computer, but I sell climate to you, or I sell clean water to you, or usable water, or, you know.
Maybe even for a subscription, so it's not like the client actually buys something tangible and keeps it for themselves, but it's a service which they're...
A go-to subscription is much more sustainable too, because you have a longer lifetime, because the manufacturer stays responsible for updating the hardware pieces or the infrastructure. So it's a really
You tell me that, but surely it's more expensive at the end of the day. I like to just, you know, my car, I like to own it. My house, I like to own it. No?
Yeah.
This mentality?
It depends. No, we did the math ourselves too, with Compano. So that's the robot, and the robot is testing, and it's really a product. And you can also do the math on a computer too. So say that you want to do it as a subscription. So you sell labor, or you sell the best climate for your plants to control. After 7 years, it is not necessarily more expensive. I think even because you have a longer life. So at the end, it is more interesting because your product has a longer life. If you go linear in economics, you buy something, and at the end you know that it's going to be thrown away. So that's the end of the life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is the new way of thinking, that we have to change business models, but also the combination with other opportunities. So it's not only growing tomatoes, but I also supply you energy. Yeah. Or it's not only that I grow tomatoes, but I use the wastewater from the city. Yeah. And then you start with the circularity we so badly need.
Okay, so it becomes a more service-oriented thing than trying to sell a product.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a really interesting example, I won't name the brand, but of a running shoe, which actually you subscribe to nowadays, and it's made with renewable materials. Wow. It's made with beans.
Wow.
And I don't know how much you pay, and I don't know how often you get a new pair of shoes, but the message is, you can't have these shoes.
No.
They belong to us from the company that is selling the subscription. Yeah, but we will provide you with these very sustainable solutions on a regular basis.
Yeah.
On the other side, if I'm thinking cars, you know, if you have a premium car manufacturer, again, which I won't name, which has a very high quality product, and then they say, yeah, but you have a longer guarantee, and you have more security that the technology will be there for you, etc. If I'm paying a premium price and I buy the car, you know, I expect it to last longer than 2 years. So how do you work with that? Does that mean if I was going for perhaps a cheaper car and I wasn't quite sure about the quality, then I would love to have a subscription service, because then it's not my problem, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm looking for a high quality car, why should I take a subscription? Maybe it's cheaper for me just to buy it and look after myself. I know it will be reliable, no? Or is the world of cars perhaps more mature than perhaps digitalization, robotics, AI in
ecosystems,
for the moment?
combination, use each other's value in business. So the ecosystems around producing cars are already well developed.
Yes.
So they use each other's skills and they exchange. And yes, I think so too. They are not all car industries, but most of them are pretty much upfront.
Touché.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it is for me, everything is depending on what the entrepreneur wants at the end. So I'm more focused myself too in my storytelling about what is needed to make the change. You always come back to that entrepreneur. And that is also the fact that if you go and bring food production closer to where the mega cities are, to where people are, it is not up to us to think something about, no, then you need a greenhouse or then you need this or that. No, it is his decision. And if he can make a good business case, then he will go for it. And that is what I think so intriguing at this moment. So if you buy your avocado, know that a lot behind this avocado is still subsidized, like the fossil fuel on transportations, or it's been flown in. So do we really,
water, etc.
Do we really pay the footprint that is on that avocado? Say that we do that, huh? Say, okay, you are allowed to eat your avocados, no problem. No one is making any judges about that, so perfect. You eat your avocado, but we calculate the footprint to this avocado. Then it becomes more expensive when you buy it in the Netherlands. Then there is an entrepreneur who thinks, oh, wait a moment, now I can afford an indoor farm to grow the avocados, and I have a marketplace. Then he's successful, then another entrepreneur says, oh, I can do that too. Then they compete, then the price goes down, then they have to innovate, and there it goes.
So you're looking for a level playing field, basically.
Differently.
Not subsidized.
Yes.
And maybe many factors have to be priced in. Yeah, and we talked about this in a previous session as well, about having a level playing field.
Yeah.
And the appeal was that the politicians and the policymakers really have to be responsible for setting the right environment for these ecosystems to be able to develop under a fair playing field.
Yeah.
So is it the national politicians that maybe need to give some stimulus and help growers have that, and therefore help the horticultural green tech sector? Is it national politicians?
I gave up on that one.
You gave up on that one?
Yeah. I don't see any leaders in this world really speak out or have a vision where it should go to. If they would have, then people would feel attracted to that vision and would just follow and say, okay, it's going to hurt a little while, but we know, we trust each other, and we just go for it. But there's a lack of it. I mean,
there are some examples. You go to New Zealand, you go to Finland, happen to be ladies in charge, but there are some very positive examples.
Yeah, but the major part of it is still a worry, huh?
Okay.
So I think if you have, and sometimes I make the comparison with your own company too, huh? But if we say, okay, this is the fact. I mean, this world, there are so many other powers behind it, what wants to continue and keep their power there where it is. Maybe we just start to do something next to it and let it come from underneath. So let the people make the change.
You're talking revolution.
Oh, kind of. I like some action. So we just do it parallel next to it. Let them go. I mean, it will disappear, so just leave it. And next to that, we can build up this world that we know that can exist.
Yeah.
And let's see what the cities can do to it. And that is a nice one, because you also see that in the United States. When Trump was elected many years ago, San Francisco, New York, they did not care what he said about the agreements in Paris. They just moved on. And the largest movement in the United States is done by cities to commit to the Paris agreements. That's interesting. We are still on.com, it's called.
Yeah.
But you see that in many other countries too. If the minister wants more asphalt on the road, Amsterdam wants smart mobility. Yeah. So there's a difference between what countries want and cities are striving for.
So it's a very local-oriented movement, almost grassroots, and you talk about revolution. I think the example in LA, South LA, the city was not too happy about all of this land being taken over. But the gentleman said, well, you know, you have given us the obligation to look after this land in front of our houses, etc., and make sure it's clean and sort it out. And how I do that, surely, is my business. Yeah. And so they stood together.
I believe very much, and that is the future of the horticulture, as we talked in the beginning. I believe very much in the food-producing cities. I believe that the cities will take the power the coming decennia because they have to. Because they have to make those changes. Otherwise, we have another virus or another climate change or a climate problems.
We'll come to the cities in a second. I just want to make an appeal, if I can, to our audience at home. I have loads of questions, but I want to give the audience as well the chance to speak. So if you have a question, you can put it in through the browser, and we'll get it here in the studio, and I'll be able to ask Meiny your hopefully very challenging questions. Probably much better informed than mine are, but let's take it from there. Back to the cities quickly. So are you saying that we should maybe have certain cities that produce food for other cities?
No, just for the city himself.
Yeah, so self-sufficient, more self-sufficiency.
Yeah. I'm talking mega cities, yeah?
Yes.
So I'm talking not mega cities on the east part of the United States. You see that already, eh? New York, Philadelphia, Boston. It's like one big cluster of all kinds of cities, and in between you have those green belts, and they can produce food.
We can look in the Netherlands as well. It's quite similar.
Yeah, it's similar. Netherlands is just like a city, and we produce our own food, so that is perfect.
Somebody called it a city-state yesterday.
Okay, cool.
The Netherlands is a city-state.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I believe that one too.
So this comes to your sustainable urban delta movement, and tell me a little bit more about that.
If what I said is, if you talk about sustainable urban delta, that is about this food-producing city. It once started with stimulating and talking about the integrated solutions. So a little step further, it was for me to show that with these integrated solutions, the more integrated, the more climate neutral it will become. So we need this technology as a fundament, as a platform within this environment, meaning that we can reuse wastewater or deliver the energy.
Living technologies, somebody said earlier as well. So technologies that do not exploit and extract, but actually recirculate and even prosume.
Yeah, you make the beautiful combinations or create different business models around it, and that is what can happen within the city environment, because everything is so close by. The people are there to work, but also to eat. The energy is there, the water is there, everything is there.
But they need to be connected.
They need to be connected through this platform. And my examples were from the Netherlands by accident, not really, because I think that is what the Dutch people are still doing very well, is that they can think about integrated solutions. They can integrate different things, also social coherence and what is needed to do with the environment. And also for Priva, that is interesting. So to be able, and if you can see that you can do it, that you can connect the energy uses of a greenhouse combined with urban area, with houses, and you can balance the energy usage, it is the way to go. Then we don't talk about central grids anymore, but we just decentralize everything, and you talk more community-wise, that you can solve your problems around food and waste and energy and water. And
digitalization is the enabler for those connections and for having a symbiotic relationship.
It will be like globally connected and building up your ecosystem, and then decentralized apply so that people in that area have access to what their needs are.
Okay, and blockchain maybe as an enabler of the transactions, etc., etc.
Interesting technology.
Good. We have a question.
Okay.
So, Conno Dam has asked, what is your definition of city?
It is metropolitan areas. So my city definition is where a larger amount of people are living and working together. Yes. So I'm not talking small scale. Yeah. So my city is big.
Good. So from sort of 100,000 people, perhaps something like that, and
millions.
Millions. So more megacities.
Megacities.
Okay, that's where the economies of the symbiotic relationship can really come to play.
It doesn't. If you look in the world, so also in the Netherlands on the west side of the coast, you have it above Amsterdam to Eindhoven. It is like one strip of urbanized areas.
Yes.
And for me, cities are the places where it is urbanizing because people like to live there.
Is it correct, when we take that example, that a lot of the agricultural produce is actually still, in the Netherlands at least, quite close to those urban areas, or has it also been pushed out to the periphery of the country?
No, you have, in the Netherlands, but you see both.
Yeah.
So you see it moving in between, like Westland is like in the middle of urban area. But you also see that we call it the green belt, and that is on the circle, on the edge of the city.
The edge, the periphery.
Yeah, yes. The periphery.
Yeah.
And that is something that will develop more and more for the coming years. And so the more the horticulture will develop, the more we will face climate change, the closer it will be to these metropolitan areas, and the more these green belts will be redeveloped or within these areas or at the edges.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about the digital services that Priva have been offering, are starting to offer, will offer in the future?
Yeah, all of them.
All of the above.
Yeah, we have been developing this whole digital world, and as I said, in economics, you can see it as separate things. You have something that is existing, you need to build something new, and the same was for Priva. So it was very precious what we have, and you have to maintain and continue your relation and products for existing customers, of course. And next to that, we needed to build up this new world based on new technology that made it suddenly possible what we wanted many years ago already from plant-based thinking or the planting control. With the new technology, suddenly it was really there, so we could do it. But we needed to make so many changes within the company too. Yeah. It's not only bringing out information from out of a computer. I mean, we can bring up data up to the cloud, but then
what happens?
It's there. Yeah. You have to combine it with your domain knowledge and do something back. So you need to, we are a controls company, so we want to take and do something in the controls to make life easier for the growers, or be connected on lower levels, as in the computer, as you can say that, to make sure that it can communicate or be connected easier to sensors. So it's on different layers in your computer system and some different layers in your company that you needed to make changes.
And you need to think a lot about many different disciplines, I'm sure, as well.
Yes.
Cybersecurity being a big one.
Yes. If you have the cloud environment where you bring in your data, people are used to that everything is safe. You want to have it safe.
Fenced off.
Yes. So your cloud environment also has to be very, very secure. Yeah. We got compliments by Microsoft by the security we build up on our cloud environment. And that is something you need to be sure with before you bring your customers and invite them ahead from, come on, let's go there. Because if we can combine there the different information that we have, we can integrate it and present to you better dashboards, or we present to you plantonomy, what will help you to do a big part of your portion of your work autonomously, or we can help you to think about your cycles in growing or anything that.
And that data can also be used by the grower and by your customer to show maybe even a city mayor, look, this is the kind of thing which we're doing. Let's integrate, I don't know, some waste heat from some industrial production in your city, use it here, we can have data collaboration, and creating then the ecosystem.
Yes, and this sounds wonderful as you say it. This is what we get energy from, huh? But then we also know reality is that many of us are also facing a lack of skilled people. So there is a shortage of skilled people at the end to do it. How many growers do we have in the world today to really fulfill our ambitions as we talk about it.
Then it's really important to have a vision and to set off on a particular course, to stick to that, but also have some aspirations and some inspiration, and then people will be attracted to you. And I believe that was something which you did in Priva, and you've been working on this for many, many years, actually.
Indeed, and it is not only that it attracts, but then technology will make it possible.
Yeah.
So the fact that technology is there, it will be cheaper, it will be more available, but it will be ease of use, makes that people will create themselves the disruptions we need. So because they will start massively using it. And that is what we try to do with these digital services too, and as Priva also. We know that if we can make life easier for the grower or for our installers, our partners, or the greenhouse builders to do the commission easier, then it is better for them to grow their business, because they can reach out to other places in the world and say, okay, but here we can do it now too, because we do need different skilled people, and that is really nice.
Are we talking about somewhere in the future, in 4 or 5 years, when this will be happening, or do you have some references already?
No, we have references. Yeah, we started to think about from out of the plant. We already started in 2012 when we had Top Crop, it was called. That was already the plant-based thinking and the philosophy. Yeah. And nowadays, combined with the cloud and the data, and the algorithms that are behind it, and the machine learning, and any new technology that now is applied, now we have really the capability to bring it in a different way to customers, and they're already using it. Yes, we have many, many hectares, and it's very, very interesting, and learning too from what benefits it really gives. Huh?
Because you're also very close to what's going on there. It's not like you just provided a product and a technology and you leave it along, and maybe you call once a month and say, how's it going? But actually you're seeing almost in real time what's going on, right?
To make a move from where you come from, selling products, to where you go and where we are now moving into working in digital services, it is not only about your logistics or the way we do training, or your service center, or the R&D people that also have to do the services now when there is a bug in the system, or so many things needed to be changed. It was your infrastructure, the way you build up your website, the way you do your payments. When it is a subscription, it's different. Huh? So many things are so different, and that is what we did for the last 4 or 5 years. Make every part, help to change every part that was needed to make it
into reality,
complete and bring it into reality.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Meiny, our time is our enemy. I'm afraid we've run out of it.
Okay.
And but that was an extremely inspiring, look into the future of urban sustainable deltas, sustainable urban deltas, perhaps, and some of the services which are helping to enable building those ecosystems. So much luck with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll be watching very closely.
Thank you very much, too.
Thank you.